All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to yet another fun call. So for those of you that are newer here or back into things for the first time in a while, wanted to let you know we're going to run through some announcements first, and then we're going to jump into the topic for the week. And it's a really, really amazing one that is actually really near and dear to my heart. One that I think is going to be really, really applicable to a lot of you, as many of you struggle with a lot of the similar things that I used to struggle with. And this has been something that I've incorporated that has really helped solve a lot of my struggles. So first, though, we're going to talk through some announcements. If you completed the last challenge with me, right, you started it and you finished it, you will be receiving an email probably tomorrow because you have qualified to come to the St. Louis trip in January with our team. So you can absolutely, once you get that email invite, you can register for it. You'll get the hotel block. It's going to be at a Drury Inn that's right down the street from HQ, which, by the way, has included breakfast and supper and drinks if you're drinking. Pretty cool. And that's where I stayed at one when I was down there last time, and the food is superb. We're like, very good stuff, you guys. So I'm very excited about this. And then you can come down, we're going to work out, we're going to hang out, we're going to get to know each other, we're going to laugh too much, probably pee our pants from laughing too much, because that's what happens when you hang out with me. Like, please come prepared, wear the diapers, it's going to be fine. So you'll get that email if you have completed that challenge, and then you can come to that in January. If you are just getting rolling with us, you got started mid-challenge, don't worry, we have another challenge coming. You complete that one, you'll be invited too. So it's going to be a great group, it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see so many of you there. So watch that email if you completed that last challenge. Let's see, the first form trip giveaway that I'm doing this month, it goes all month, right? We're about a week in at this point, so you can still get going in that. We actually have some new bonus point tasks that are in there now, and we're gonna have more bonus point tasks that add up throughout the month. So even if you get started late, you can still accumulate a ton of points and get yourself up to that top 10 and into that spinning wheel where you can possibly win that trip +1 to come down and first form and hang out with me for a weekend. So really, really excited about that. So go check that out. If you don't have the link to sign up for the giveaway and to get entered into all of the different tasks, let me know. We can get that sent to you right away. Super, super simple. A couple last final things as far as announcements go. Resilient one-on-one coaching is opening back up on June 15th. So it will run from July 1st to about September 24th. So 12 weeks long. It's going to be consisting of weekly one-on-one 20-minute chats where we will go through your assessment review and make any necessary tweaks to food choices, to food timing, to macros, to workout styles, to anything that we need to talk through for your very specific goals. We will peel through in that 20-minute call. That's one-on-one every single week. There's only going to be 20 spots available for this option this time around. It's going to include those custom plans, macros, time schedules based on your life, what you're trying to focus on, and really your specific goal. So if you have a performance goal, okay, let's take it on. If you want to lose a certain amount of body fat, awesome. If you want to feel good for this like certain trip or event coming up, okay, let's tackle it. Or if you want to heal your gut health, we're going to work on that too, right? We really tackle whatever goal you have in mind. And then the initial chat on week 1 will be 30 to 40 minutes. So that way we can talk through everything in huge specifics. And then from there, you guys, it equals out to be about $67 a week. So it's going to be $799 for the whole 12-week plan. So it equals out to be about that $67 a week for me to help you with that one-on-one, very specific basis, which has been really, really awesome. The people in the last challenge that took it on, they seem to love it. They gave me some great testimonials to use for things as well, which is so much appreciated and wonderful. And another thing too is I know that number can seem a little frightening, but if you are someone that works with PayPal, they actually do have an option with PayPal where you can pay up front and then pay PayPal on a quarterly or monthly basis as well. So if that's something that you want to tackle or something you want to look at, let me know. We can talk through it together. As far as other announcements go, the only thing is to keep on sharing podcasts, YouTube, the group, the app as you see fit. I really sincerely do just want to reach and help as many people as I possibly can. And we really just want to affect people as a team and as a community and build each other up as much as we possibly can. And the way that we build our community is to have you guys bring pieces of your community into ours. So if you guys know of people that you think would benefit from the podcast episodes, the the YouTube shorts or the YouTube videos, the group, the app, anything, share it away. And I just want to help more of your people, because the more help that you have surrounding you, the better that we're all going to do together. So That's that. As far as this week's topic goes, we're talking fasting versus circadian fasting. Okay, so what I want to preface with this is that a lot of people hear about fasting and intermittent fasting, and they think it's like this magic habit that they can incorporate into their life and that they're going to have all of this progress happen. Let me tell you, there's a lot of different types of fasting. There's a lot of different time spans of fasting. There's a lot of different mindsets surrounding fasting. So I was really, really hesitant to really do this topic with you guys because I don't want you to think that's going to be a cure-all if you do it the traditional way that people kind of perceive to be best. So basically, when it comes to fasting, the way that people kind of think of it, at least that from my understanding that people pretty much think of it, is they eat whatever you want within this certain window of time, all the way, and only drink water, or let's see, so you either eat whatever you want within a certain amount of time each day. So whether that's like cookies and ice cream and whatever, or you go like 5 days and do a water fast, right? There's two very different spectrums on this. And I don't feel like either one of those is really appropriate for most people. Now, there may be some sort of medical advantage to a 5-day water fast. However, the vast majority of people do not need to do anything near that drastic to get the benefits from it. And I would never suggest that people do that. Okay, unless you're under medical doctor surveillance and you have that recommendation to go forward with that kind of situation, would not recommend it. Okay, so traditional fasting assumes that people will automatically take in less calories as a side effect just because they have less eating time. So they get too full and then they stop eating, so they inherently take in less calories. Okay, so that can work, right? But here's the problem: is the biggest issue that you're going to have is that people can still take in buttloads of calories through crappy foods in a small amount of window. You go and you crush a pizza in your eating window, you're already above your calories for the day, likely in one meal, right? Like that's pretty insane. You think about a large pizza and you split that throughout your eating window. Okay, you ate within your eating window. Congratulations. But you also just ate like 4,000 calories worth of cheese. That's probably not going to get you where you want to be, right? And so the problem with our traditional Western diet is we have so many hyper palatable foods that if we take in whatever we want within this eating window, it doesn't matter if we get full or not, we're still taking in an overabundance of really crappy calories. And that's not going to help us feel better. It's not going to help us do better. It's not going to help us get where we want to be. Also, problem that no one really plans with these is that no one's really prioritizing protein, and they are not prioritizing quality foods when they're doing a traditional fasting situation. They think we just can't eat within certain hours. Okay, well, then in that case, they're not worried about taking in protein sources, and we're not worried about taking in quality foods. Like I said in the first thing, we're taking in a large pizza within this time to this time, and we're calling it good. Not good. That's not what we need. Okay. We still need to have common sense. We still need to use our brains, and we still need to make sure we're taking in the quality foods that we need to take in, even if you're eating within a fasting window. I'm going to go into why here in a minute. But what I do want you to understand, we are not prioritizing protein, we are not prioritizing quality foods, what's going to likely happen is it's going to probably leave you with cravings. You're not going to leave those meals satisfied, and you're likely going to be shooting yourself in the foot by losing metabolism and muscle loss. And when we do that, you're at a race to the bottom, and we can only go so far low with our metabolism before we just turn around and say, screw it, and we eat 2 pizzas instead, right? That's not going to help us either. So we can't be at a race to the bottom. We have to use common sense if we're going to use fasting, just like anything else. It all has to have common sense associated to it. This can also really, really lead to poor relationships with food. If you think that your relationship with food is already poor or kind of rocky, if you take on intermittent fasting, you don't put any preference behind it or any detail behind it, you just eat whatever you want within that eating window, you may start to really even have a worse relationship with food than you did before. And that's not what I want for you guys either. So what I do, I'm going to go through what I do. I'm going to go through how I learned about it. I'm going to give you the resources for how I learned about it. And if you want further resources, links, books, podcasts, whatever, I can send all of that to you on an individual basis if you so choose. So I follow what is called circadian rhythm fasting. And I learned this technique through Dr. Andrew Huberman, as well as Dr. Amy Shah. Both of them are highly accredited human beings, doctors, they double board certified, very smart individuals. Okay. And I have read both of Amy Shaw's books and listened to numerous of her podcast episodes where she talks through all of these different pieces. Really have absorbed a lot of her information and have applied it to my life, because I'm always my own guinea pig first before I put this on anyone else. And Dr. Andrew Huberman is just beyond a genius. So when you listen to him, you learn about all kinds of things. And he talks about this as well. So those two very big resources for this topic. Now, what I do for circadian rhythm is you eat within an 8 to 12 hour window, and then you fast overnight, right? So that makes it pretty easy. So you're fasting while you're sleeping. It makes sense, right? We shouldn't be eating or taking in calories while we're sleeping. And so when you eat within that 8 to 12 hour window, that means that you're eating between, like what I do, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., or maybe you scoot up that 7 a.m. to like 8, 9, somewhere in there, 10 at the latest, right? And then you go to 7 p.m. Perfect. We're done eating at 7. Then we go overnight until the next morning again. That's actually pretty doable for most people. And what's been happening is there's so many people, myself included, that was eating something with calories in it from like 4:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. And you're not giving your body any time to rest, recover, reset, nothing. And so what happens with this plan is we're actually matching our fasting rhythm, circadian rhythm, with sunlight and sunset, which is going to actually help our microbiome, which is the bacteria in our guts, to help follow patterns of activity and rest as well. Right. So why would we care about that? Why are we caring about what the microbacteria are doing in our gut? Because they need to know, these little guys in here, these little enzymes in here, they need to know when you're supposed to be sleeping as well. They want to have rest as well. They need to get their rest. They need to eat the good things. So you have good bacteria and you have bad bacteria, and you have a good balance of them in your gut. When they get off balanced and there's too much bad bacteria from poor food choices or poor sleep patterns or those types of things, high stress, then that's when we get sick. That's when we get illnesses. That's when we start to deal with, weight gain, cortisol issues, all kinds of things there. So when you keep that gut bacteria into a good balance, then you're going to find yourself starting to feel a lot better in all the ways, which is exactly what started to happen to me. So if you think this through, though, why did I decide to give this plan a try? And the way that Dr. Amy Shaw breaks it down is that it matches what our ancestors did before we had refrigerators, before we had electricity, right? We foraged in the morning. We didn't roll out of bed or out of the cave or whatever you want to say to Pop-Tarts and donuts. Right? We had to go and walk around and get the berries. We had to go and kill the animal. We had to go and do the things. So what were you doing in the morning when you woke up and you had to get the day going and you had to eat? You got up, you walked in sunlight, and you found the things that you wanted to have. You brought them back, you prepared them, you ate them. So you have a couple hours in the morning of being awake before you really start like taking in caloric foods. Right? It made sense to me. And then on the other end of the spectrum, they didn't have lights, right? At night. So when the sun goes down, you can't see what you're eating. So you're probably not eating after the sun goes down. Makes sense. So when we're sitting there watching Netflix or whatever you're watching, I don't watch things because I fall asleep. But if you're sitting there watching something and having snacks at 9, 10, 11 p.m., well, that's not normal to what your body is built to do. So it made sense to follow this plan because that's what our bodies were designed to operate like. Our bodies are very complex, yet very simple at the same time. They are built to re-engineer themselves. They're built to heal themselves. They're built to sustain and last. But all the shit that we do to them due to advancements in food and technology and all the stuff, we're ruining our own bodies over here, you guys. So go back to basics. Follow what we were designed to do, and you're going to feel a lot better. So awesome. It's so awesome. So the reason that I really took it on is to be totally transparent with you guys. Like I've always struggled with bloating. It's gotten better over the years, but due to poor eating habits that I was still trying to do, and I was like sugar-free this and sugar-free that. Like I had really ruined my gut health. And I was still struggling pretty poorly with like a lot of bloat issues towards the end of last year. And finally got to a point where it was really like mentally taking a toll on me. And that wasn't okay. Right. So I heard her talking and I was like, I got to look into this further. And why not at this point, give it a try. So I absolutely was all in. I learned about it. I think I told Jenna about it like day 2 that I was doing it. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I got to take it on and I got to learn about it. So that's what that is. So we're going to talk through a little bit now what actually happens in your gut and the reason that we need to give our gut that fasting time overnight. Remind you guys, this is all of the knowledge that I've taken in from these resources. Definitely go and read the books, listen to the podcasts, listen to these experts talk, let it sink in for yourself as well. But what happens is we have this migrating motor complex in our gut. So the MMC is what it's referred to often. And basically what it is it's a cyclic recurring motility pattern that occurs in the stomach and the small bowel during fasting. So what that kind of means is it propels our luminal or our stomach contents, which is the food and like stomach acids, to the intestines, right? So it's kind of like when that stomach growl happens, and we all are like, "Oop, I'm hungry." No, that's not actually what that is. When that stomach growl happens, that is actually a signal that your MMC is at work, that it's cleaning itself out, that it's doing the self-cleaning, that it's moving all of the extra through. And that's actually a really, really, really good sign. We want that stomach motility to happen. When we take in calories, we stop that MMC complex from happening. It slows down, it stops, it halts because it needs to allow that food to break down again. And it doesn't allow itself to clean itself out, to reset. And so if you don't give the MMC time to work, it can slow down digestion. It can cause a lot of issues like IBS or constipation, even turn into SIBO, which if you haven't heard about SIBO, that's overgrowth of bacteria in the gut. All those things can really start to occur if we don't allow this MMC to chill out by itself for a while on the regular. And all that you have to do is fast overnight, right? Give your gut, it's at least 4 to 5 hours of time, but by giving your gut that time overnight, that, 10 to 12 hour fast overnight, you really give your gut and that MMC time to really do its job and do it well, uninterrupted, which is really amazing. So like I was saying before, if you're eating too many hours of the day or constantly snacking through the day, it's going to disrupt that MMC and cause that process to start over again. So if you, for instance, never feel or hear your stomach growl, you're probably eating too often. You're probably taking in calories too many times throughout the day, right? So steps that I personally took to incorporate this lifestyle, because this is a big change for me. A big change. I used to roll out of bed and drink Megawatt at like 4:15, and I was eating mug cakes at 10 o'clock, right? Like it's a big span. Okay. This was a big change for me. And so I don't expect you guys to be able to take it all on at once, but I want you guys to understand why I'm so passionate about it, because it's seriously helped me in so many ways. So the steps that I took, I looked at it, I said, okay, 12-hour eating window. That's doable. That's not crazy. That's not something that my husband's going to be like, what the F, Nikki, are you trying to do now? Right? This is going to be something that makes sense. So I looked at my day. I said, okay, we're supposed to stop eating about 2 hours before bed, right? To give our gut bacteria that time to break down and digest foods. And then we sleep better. I'll go over that here in a minute. So I did the math, right? Simple math. I go to bed at about 9. So I need to be done eating by about 7. So when can I start taking in calories the next morning? 7 to 7. That's my time window. And that's how I decided on it. Do I wait sometimes like on weekends and stuff to eat a little bit later? Sure. But otherwise, you guys, I'm up at 4:15 in the morning, and I force myself to only drink water from 4 to 7. Let me tell you, I take in like 70 ounces of water before 7 because my MMC is a rolling, right? Like I feel it. So like, I know what that's like, right? So I just want you guys to be well aware, like do that math. When are you typically going to bed? What is 2 hours before that? What's 12 hours before that? That's going to be your primary like eating time if you can make this work with your lifestyle. So that's where I started. And then The reason that we really want to do that 2 hours before bed thing, before I get past this point, is that if you go to bed with a full stomach, you're going to disrupt that microbiome and then cause it to be working instead of sleeping. So if you try and lay down in bed with a full stomach, you're going to feel like all the, like it's in there working, trying to break everything down. You feel all the sloshy. You're not going to sleep very well with your stomach trying to digest all the foods. Okay, so that's just one thing to consider. And then it's going to actually lead to lower quality sleep and all of the side effects of low quality sleep. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap. Low quality sleep, even one night, can lead to more cravings. You're going to want more crappy carbs. You're going to have a shorter attitude. You're going to probably have a foggier brain, which means you're not going to be as creative, right? All these things can lead to more stress, higher cortisol, and that's just not there. You can see there's dominoes. Okay, so keep all of that in mind, right? We don't want to try and cause more stress on our bodies. So if we could reduce it in some place, that's an easy one to do. Now, with all of that, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., I only drink water, or you can do plain black coffee with nothing in it in the morning before that eating window starts. Okay. Next, I changed up my schedule and my workout times. I know that this is not applicable for everyone in here. Some people, I obviously have a job, right? But I'm in complete control of my job. Not everyone has that opportunity. But if you do, I do recommend trying to do this. Okay. So I changed up my schedule. I get in a 20 to 45 minute walk before taking in any actual food calories in my day. And I do that walk in natural light. Okay. The natural light, whether it's cloudy or it's raining or overcast, whatever, the natural light, your eyes can actually have receptors in them that will signal to your gut microbiome, it is time to wake up and do work. Right? It's going to kick off your digestion. It's going to wake up the microbiome. It's going to get things moving. That natural light plays a huge role in improving your gut health and motility in your gut. Huge, huge, huge importance. Okay. So I get in that 20 to 45 minute walk in natural light before I'm taking in calories. And then from there, that's also going to optimize fat burn from the activity, because we don't have calories that are fresh in our gut to put towards that walk. It's low intensity. You're using body fat in order to give you energy to get through that walk, just like foraging for berries. Imagine yourself in a loincloth looking for berries on a tree. Okay, this is what we're going for here, right? So you're walking in the sunlight in a loincloth. Bear with me here. You are burning fat in order to find said berries, walk back to your cave and eat the berries. Perfect. Okay, maybe you kill an antelope on the way. You are an overachiever and you drug the antelope home. Now you got a workout in. We definitely need protein and carbs, right? It makes sense. It makes sense. Okay. So now, next piece that I did was I stopped taking in so many gall-darn meals each day. Here's something that I learned about the MMC. An appetizer is meant to be there to appetize you, to make you hungrier, to not satisfy you. By having snacks and small meals throughout the day, we are only increasing our appetite. We are not satisfying our appetite. That is an issue that I never knew about before, right? And it makes so much sense because we're taking all these micro meals throughout the day. Mind you, if this works for you, that's fine. But what I want you to understand is if you're taking all these micro meals and you're not really leaving that meal satisfied, you're not really leaving that meal like totally, not necessarily full, but like without cravings, then you're only making it harder on yourself, right? So I stopped doing all of these small meals because as soon as I started eating within this window, right, I was doing a post-workout stack and 3 big meals instead of post-workout stack and like 6 small meals. I suddenly was like too full to take in all of these little food things that I had been doing. So instead, I started densifying meals. It allowed me to take in more high quality whole foods and less of this processed artificial sugar, added sugar-free crap I had been taking in for so long. So less preservatives, less added sugars, less processed foods. I'm taking in more dense foods. The food and the meals are more satisfying. You know what else leads to that? You can actually go out to supper and eat a meal and not feel like you have to only get a salad that's on the dinner menu, right? Because you can't find a meal at a restaurant for less than 600 calories, right? It's nearly impossible. You find a 600 calorie meal at a restaurant, you are winning the day. right? You all know that at this point, if you've been tracking for a minute. This makes it so much more doable to go out and be like, you know what, I want to have a sandwich. You can have a sandwich, right? Or I want to have something other than the salad. You get to do that. It fits into your day so much easier. It's amazing. You find yourself so much more satisfied because you're taking in an actual potato, or you're taking in a pile of vegetables or some quality fruits, or mind you, the protein is always still going to be there, right? So now you get to leave these meals not feeling like you're left out. You get to leave these meals not feeling like, when is my next one coming, right? It's absolutely amazing. And so, and I get so pumped up about it because I remember when I was realizing all this the first time, like I messaged Jenna like so many voice clips. I was like, oh my God, I don't have cravings. I'm not thinking about when my next meal is. I forgot that I had a meal coming. I'm so excited right now because I'm not thinking about food constantly. All this stuff changed. Other things that happened. I was taking in such high quality foods in comparison to what I had been taking in for so long that I was actually eating more calories, but I was getting leaner because my gut was actually improving itself and therefore digesting things appropriately, and all of the motility was happening appropriately, and therefore I was actually getting a better body composition and all of the other good side effects I'm going to go over here with you in a minute from just making these changes. So after that, I would continue to tweak the food quality and improve like the minimally processed food options. I would include fermented food options, be very purposeful about that. And then I was always still hitting my macro goals daily. Okay, that's still something that I definitely did, protein, calories at a minimum, but I was doing all of these whole food options and within my eating window. And the magic that happened from it was incredible. You guys saw my progress from the first of the year to now, right? I got to say, I'm pretty proud of it, right? So you can absolutely, and I was eating more. I was eating more. I still had all the progress and I feel so much better, right? So why wouldn't I share this with you? So from there, the last thing that I really tried to do is minimize blue light and technology at night to help allow the microbiome to sense nighttime and go to bed at an earlier time. So I have blue blockers on right now. Otherwise, I'd be taking in all this blue light from the screen. And what happens is your eyeballs, remember how in the morning when we see the natural light, it like stimulates our gut to wake up and do all the things. Well, if I'm taking in all of this blue light, your eyes are still sensing that it's like morning time, that we need to still be very awake. Where instead, if we're blocking it, then our gut is going to be able to sense that it's nighttime and go to bed and stop doing things at the appropriate times. So that's something else to really think about doing to help improve the circadian rhythm situation. So my personal improvements, God, I'm sweating. Personal improvements that I want you guys to know about: way less bloat. It's a huge one. So many people message me about being bloated. I still struggle here and there, right? Like it's like pre-period week for me right now. So I absolutely feel a little bit more like a whale this week than I did last week. Thank God it wasn't last week at first form. Ooh, right? So that's good news. But way less bloat. Also better mood, you guys. 99% of the time, I'm in a way better mood. I am way more creative. I can think clearer. I have better ideas. I connect with people better. My relationships are better. My husband could say I could still be more active in certain situations with our relationship, but that's always going to be the case. It's totally fine. Other things. Hormone quality is way better. My hormones are much more predictable. I can manage when I believe that like my period is coming instead of like it being a massive surprise, and it doesn't last for weeks on end. It's like a normal amount of time. It's absolutely amazing to have regularity in hormones, not only with female hormones, but like hunger hormones, appetite hormones. All of those things are really important. Less cravings, you guys. I don't think about food all day long, every day, all day. Improved food relationships. I no longer like, did I enjoy a waffle cone stuffed with ice cream with my kids on Sunday in St. Louis? Absolutely. Yes, I did. Am I absolutely counting down the days until I get to do that again? No, I'm not. Right. Am I just absolutely clawing at the kids' candy that's in the house? No, I don't even care. Right. I can walk by a slice of cake. It doesn't bother me. It used to. And it doesn't anymore. That food relationship is so improved. I don't even want the other things anymore because I feel so good doing the things that I'm doing. That's the point to get to. And it's amazing. Let's see, improved scalp psoriasis. This was something I wasn't expecting. So I struggle with flakes throughout my hair, right? If I go a couple of days, you guys would start to see all the flaky things start to pop up. It looked like I had dandruff everywhere, right? most of the scalp psoriasis is gone. I don't use a special shampoo anymore. It's gone. It is pretty much cleared up. Now, if I go like 6 days or whatever, not only is she super greasy, but it'll start to show up a little bit, but it's nothing like it used to be. It used to be I would wash it, blow dry it, flakes everywhere. No more. That's pretty much healed itself. Also more flexibility with dining out, like I was saying earlier, only improves my relationship. I want to go out and eat supper with my kids and my family, right? And before it was like, where can mom go to eat and not be stressed out? Now I can eat pretty much anywhere. Don't take me to McDonald's. I don't want to eat there just because. Let's go somewhere decent. But I can find something almost anywhere that I can totally make work. That's really right. I'm gonna hold my hand right there. So that's something to really, really think on, right? Is how much flexibility do you really have with your life right now? Main takeaways, there's a million things we can go down. There's a million rabbit holes we can go down, but main takeaways for you, choose your window and stick to it at least 6 out of 7 days of the week. Okay. So if you want to try this, pick your window, stick to it for at least a couple of weeks within those timeframes, see how you feel. Continue reaching your same macros within that window is absolutely key. So optimize with quality food choices as you can. Daily AM sunlight, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Go for a 10-minute walk outside in the sunlight every single morning before you eat. That'll be a huge game changer. There's tons of different things that we can go down, like, resetting the vagus nerve and managing stress according to, your cycle. But all of this will really, really get into different specific topics. I don't want to go down those rabbit holes tonight, but we can go down them at another time if you want to, or if those things sound applicable to you. But that's what tonight's call is. I gave you a lot of information, something I'm super passionate about. It's really changed my life over the last 6 months, and I think it's really helpful for you guys to know about. The secret code for the call this week, before I forget, is Skylar, Skylar. It's little man's name. So if you go into the 1P giveaway trip, Skylar is the secret code, Skylar. All right. So with all of that being said, I'm going to look at the chat messages, and you guys are welcome to unmute and ask all questions that you have. Let's see. Jenna, I'm just going to read your comments out loud. So I would say this has been the biggest difference for me. Bigger meals and feeling totally satisfied. This not leaving me looking for something right after I've eaten. And less processed foods have really increased the volume of food. And then blown away by the first few weeks, how my body was changing. Really, those first few weeks are so crazy. Amy said, yes, I feel like all I do is think about food, trying to eat every couple hours. Yeah, this is going to help with that a lot. Yes, we don't want to watch the meal for stuff anymore. That's so nice. Let's see. Highly recommend having 20 ounces of cold water in the fridge ready to drink when you first get up. That has helped a lot as well. Coming from Jenna, who hates drinking cold water in the morning. Okay. And then somebody asked, have you tried to stretch the window to 14 to 16 hours or always mainly 12? So you can do 14 to 16 hours, but here's the thing about females. We are not just smaller versions of males. Okay. Gosh, it's super bright. I really need to get blinds on that window. I'm just waving my hand over here. So what I want you to understand is men taking on an intermittent fasting schedule can go longer periods of time without having as much of detrimental effects to their body because their hormones are not as sensitive as ours. Now, female, right? Our hormones are like touchy. They're like the old car that you have to just barely like caress to start, right? Need to really keep in mind what we're dealing with here. So when we put extra stress on our body, like fasting for 16, 18 hours a day, because I've seen people go that length, and it's just going to add more stress to your body, and it's really not necessary. From all of the research and studies that they have shown that, like Dr. Amy talked about, that Dr. Huberman talks about, they actually show huge improvements between that 12 and 10-hour window of fasting. Does not need to be more than that. So I really stick to that 12-hour, 10-hour for myself. Is it harder to get your protein in eating fewer times? For me, no, right? I always have had a huge appetite. So this is just me. But honestly, what I typically do is I'll do a post-workout, but I do 1.75 scoops of Formula One to my ignition. So I do extra Formula One there. And then for breakfast, I do, I don't know, 3/4 cup of egg whites with an egg, as well as a half a scoop of level 1 and a shake kind of thing. So plenty of whole foods there. And I do toast and berries and all kinds of stuff with that. And then lunch is some sort of vegetable and either chicken or usually ground beef, maybe steak. And then supper is once again a vegetable, potato, and then steak, ground beef, chicken, something like that. So I really don't struggle because I'm taking in like at least 3 to 4 ounces of meats or eggs kind of thing at each meal. So I'm able to cover my bases with the protein needs that I have. And then I end every night with a Power Pro bar, right? It's 15 grams of protein, but it's high quality ingredients. It's all minimally processed foods. It's all really, really, really great quality ingredients. So that's like my sweet treat at the end of the night. Hopefully that helps. Hannah.
So for me personally, I most days am still taking in like all 6 meals. If I notice like now, and I will say I've noticed now that it's getting lighter out longer, like, I mean, it's almost 6 and I haven't had dinner yet, and that's fine. So basically kind of similar to Nikki, I'm also finishing my day out with a vegan Power Pro bar, but it just ends up being closer to my dinner time rather than like waiting and eating it with like reds and greens, and kind of like using that as like my nighttime, I guess, meal 6. But most days I'm eating one less meal. And so it is, you're higher volume at each meal. And so if you are going to do that, like figure it out and go, okay, since I only have 5 meals now, take that total number of protein, break it down between the 5 instead of the 6. So that's what helps for me, but not an issue getting in all the food.
No, not a problem at all. But that's just something to really like think about too. Is like, you don't necessarily have to have a giant pile of, zucchini noodles now because you're eating 6 small meals, right? Maybe now you get to have some chopped up zucchini, but maybe you get to have some potatoes with it or something more filling too. So that's something to really consider, is you get to have some of those things, because they actually fit better into your day now.
So I do have a question though on protein and like working out. Just because of ours, like mine and my husband's schedules, I do have to work out at 5 a.m. and I don't want to eat at 5 a.m. like, is it really that damaging to not chug a protein drink on the way home from the gym? Like, can I wait 3 hours?
It's not going to be like super awful, but it's like a hard balance, right? Because what's your cutoff time to eat at night?
I don't eat past 8.
8. Okay.
Like, yeah.
Okay. So technically you're trying to wait until 8 a.m. Is that what you're trying to go for?
Correct.
Okay. So if you're working out at 5, you get done at what, 6?
Correct.
Okay. So really it's like a 2-hour window. I would say you're probably fine waiting until 8. Your body's still going to use the carbohydrates and the proteins that you're taking in from a post-workout. So I don't foresee that being an issue. Is it as optimal? No, right? This is part of the thing where it's just not perfect because we can't just like make our schedules what we want them to be for a majority of people. So honestly, I would wait until about 8 to take in that post-workout stacking. You should be fine with that 2-hour delay. I wouldn't suggest that to everyone if it is possible to have your workout window fall in line with this, but for you, I would say that would be okay. Other questions that I've had come in, because I've kind of put people on this plan to test them out with it throughout, is I would say, because they don't know if like Megawatt will break a fast. They don't know if pre-workouts will break a fast. They do know that amino acids will, and like reds and greens, they would. So technically I would say if you really want to stick to this window, to not take in anything other than water or black coffee, or there's certain types of plain teas that you can take in outside of that window, but those are the only things I would take in outside of, that 12-hour time. So have reds and greens in, have any sort of pre-workouts in, post-workouts in, all of that stuff within that 12 hours, if at all possible. I think everybody's good. If you come up with questions, shoot them to me. If you are wanting to take this on, but you're confused or you want more like resources, shoot me a message. I will send you all of the resources to look at. But yeah, let me know. And hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. And I will be talking to you all later. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.